IVM.
There's a quick survey to fill out on ivmpodcast.com/survey. It lets us know a little bit more about who's listening to us. And you know what? We're going to do a few prizes. So, we'll do a random drawing of maybe 10 people and we'll send you all some swag. Remember, that's ivmpodcast.com/survey where you can fill out the survey.
Here's your smart fact of the day. Have you guys seen The Office? Yeah, it is just too funny, guys. On this April Fool's Day, I just wanted to talk about The Office, which is a mockumentary sitcom series. Now, it does not have a live audience or a laugh track or something like that. It's quite cringy at times, and it focuses on workplace humor, and it is hilarious. And there was this very nice start of The Office, which was based on a BBC series started by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, and then it was adapted by the Steve Carell version, the American version, and it has been adapted across so many countries and so many cultures, and there is something there that everybody in this world actually connects to. Hi there. On this April Fool's Day or week, maybe I'm maybe a little late by a couple of days, but happy April Fool's Day. I just wanted to talk about workplace humor and find out how it can be incorporated a little more in the workplace in reality, not in shows like The Office, or whether it should be completely avoided. Let's go. So, first things first, right? If I look at The Office and the fact that it had 9 seasons and the fact that it has actually gone across cultures and it has, resonated so much with people, means that there is certainly a connect there. There is certainly a worldwide connect to the humor that is depicted, and there is certainly a recognition of all the characters that exist. And sometimes you wonder, do I behave like that in an office? Is this the way in which a normal office works? Is this the stupidity that I'm up to? But whatever it may be, it is still something which is quite an interesting observation once you are out of it. So there are only 2 approaches to look at this office thing. Is that you're seeing a really stupid office and you're seeing, you're laughing at it. But maybe another way of looking at it is laugh at human frailty and look at, oh shit, this happened in my office too, or this happened with me, and oh, I acted like such a dumbass over there. But we hardly do that, do we? If I look at The Office and maybe even Dilbert, they just tell me that we do resonate with funny goings on in the workplace. If you look at Dilbert, and if you haven't heard of Dilbert, the comic strip written by Scott Adams, illustrated by Scott Adams as well, I don't know which rock you're living under, but do check it out. It is hilarious. And it is hilarious because you can recognize the characters that are played out over there. Now, if you're like Asok the intern, or if you're like, somebody else who's like this extremely dangerous, aggressive person, or it's just very interesting to see so many characters connect with so many of us in so many different ways. But you know what the weird thing is? And this is something that is universal. While we can laugh at those comic characters, whether it's in The Office or Dilbert, we can't laugh with them, and we can't laugh at ourselves. We take ourselves extremely seriously in most workplaces. In fact, we have to put on a persona on LinkedIn, right? So if you look at LinkedIn personas, we wear the proverbial suit and, not really how we are most of the times. Now, granted that workplace personas are also getting a little more casual. You have the ability to be a little more creative when it comes to being, a little funkily dressed at the workplace, or maybe let your hair down a little, or, kind of be a little casual in the way in which you communicate, especially with your superiors and stuff like that. And things would be extremely unrecognizable. Just see a movie from the 80s or the 70s and you'll see how rigid the boss-employee relationship was when it came to just interactions with each other. But I don't think that we are in a situation wherein we can accept humor as an integral part of the workplace and laugh at ourselves. And therein lies the problem, right? Now, the problem is twofold. One is that we have to project. We have to project the way in which we are, which is serious and which is forceful, and which is what we are trying to communicate is how efficient, how effective, and how wonderful professionally we are. And somewhere humor doesn't fit into the mix. I mean, we don't take kindly to people who goof off or who are slacky or whatever, and we tend to make rapid value judgments about the same. Unless and until, obviously, if you're in a really creative workplace like an agency or something, you would be exposed to, people like this. But most offices, you will not find this. The second thing that you will obviously look at is the way in which there is political correctness about humor today. And most of it is for the right reasons, because marginalized groups are going to find people's humor offensive, especially when the power equation is different. So if the power equation is different and your boss has unnecessary command over the situation that you belong to in an office, and then he is making jokes or she is making jokes at your expense, then it is clearly an unfair thing if you can't make a joke back, right? And it is not about making a joke back or making a joke, it just comes across as something that is bullying, right? So office humor can be a situation wherein there can be a lot of bullying. So then what am I talking about? Am I talking for office humor or against office humor? So in general, on the whole, I think we need more humor in the workplace. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I think humor allows you to relax. Humor allows you to kind of be accepted as part of the tribe that you're working in. Humor allows you to diffuse tense situations. Humor allows you to keep a good mood, which is important for effectiveness. Humor allows you to, do so many different things that in a very easy way, right? In a very easy way. You don't need to struggle through a lot of things. Now, obviously, humor is practiced in small groups in offices, but, I wish there was more humor in offices. I wish there was more lightheartedness in offices without misunderstanding that it is not really, going to harm the goals that the office has. And secondly, I think this against hustle culture thing is something that I completely stand for. I don't think that you need to, completely keep striving like some person pushing a rock up a hill all the time. There is no glory to that. I think the bigger glory is to live a life well earned, but without bullying. So especially if you're a boss or if you're in a position of power, do make sure that your humor is extremely well placed and not something that is going to slight the person. Or even if it is making fun of a person, make sure that you can be made fun of too. It is directly and deeply linked to culture. And I think that the most important factor is that you need to figure out what kind of humor works in a specific workplace and what kind of humor does not. My feeling specifically, I have laughed a lot in all the offices that I've worked in. And whenever I have laughed, the teams have performed better. There are times when you cannot laugh because the situation is so serious, but then you have some joker who makes a joke which makes everyone crack up, look at life, take a deep breath, and get to work again. Isn't it? So happy April Fool's Day, everyone. Let's inject a little humor, lightheartedness, and ease of doing work in our work life. Okay, life is stressful. And by the way, I'd love to end on this note. Do you know where April Fool's Day is actually an official holiday? Of all the countries in the world and of all the cities in the world, it is in Odessa, Ukraine, that this is where it's at. Ukraine is going through such a huge war right now with Russia, and obviously the mood must be grim. But April Fool's Day is actually a holiday over there, and their president actually was a stand-up comedian. How about that, huh? How about that for a few facts? How about that? Interesting, isn't it? I hope you like this episode and this podcast of mine. Do like and subscribe to it. And if you like stuff like this, check out the IVM stuff. Wonderful podcast we've got there. And hey, if you like me, I'm the Traveling Professor. Connect with me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Ciao then.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Think Fast, Suchita invited me to talk about the evolution of the audio industry. And besides the audio industry, we talked about a whole bunch of other things like the Zomato-Blinkit potential merger, the Mumbai 2050 climate plan, and a whole bunch of other things. Fun episode, do check that out. On Press Decode, Sara Vakta, Prafula and Nivedita discussed the accuracy of the Kashmir Files and associated movie politics. On The Longest Constitution, Priya examines the issue of livelihood along with why women aren't a part of parliament. On Say No to Drama, Chetna explains why you should celebrate filing your income tax rather than feeling bad about it. And on All Things Policy, the Takshashila folk discuss India's reserves of oil in light of the oil supply shock created by the Russia-Ukraine war. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on. Also, remember, we're on YouTube. You can check us out on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube and get a list of all the YouTube channels we have active at this point. I'd also like to make a quick note that we're doing a small listener survey, and it would really help us if you could fill that out. You can go to ivmpodcast.com/survey. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, SBI Life Insurance and India Water Portal. Thank you so much for making this possible.
If you're a cricket fan, check out Edges and Sledges, India's favorite cricket podcast.
The podcast focuses on Indian cricket, the IPL, and has a ton of banter both on and off the field.
We talk about the week's biggest cricket stories with current and ex-international cricketers, coaches, or sometimes just between us.
And it's hosted by me, DJ.
Me, Varun.
And me, Ashwin.
New episodes release every week.
You can catch us on the IVM Podcast's website, app,
or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.